Second. So, welcome back, mate. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. And yourself?
Yeah, very well. So, we're going to do something a little different today. I didn't tell you, I didn't tell anybody. I've tried to pay everybody that I interview the same respect, and I spend the whole day prior trying to do the background checks and everything else. So yesterday, my whole mindset was on Aaron Heading. We had Aaron on last night.
Nice.
So, 10 o'clock last night, I sat down. I was like, right, Michael Diamond take 2. What am I going to do? And I literally, and I mean this, I've had 1 hour's sleep. I spent the whole night contacting your peers.
Wow.
And they have all, so we're going to spend the first 10 to 15 minutes, if it's okay with you. I've got testimonies from all of your peers to read to you from them.
Wow, that'd be great.
And as a gift, he wanted to interview you himself, but unfortunately, due to legislations, he's not allowed. But Giovanni Palelio is watching you right now.
Awesome. G'day, Johnny.
He's joined in. He wanted to say hi and he wanted to ask and say these words himself, but he's asked me to say them on his behalf. So we've got quite a few to read out. I hope everybody enjoys them. If you're an emotional man like me, you might need a tissue, dude, because some of these are deep. So the first one is from your good friend Vasily Mosin.
Very nice man.
I have known Michael more than 25 years. We are peers, and I treat him like my brother. He is a living legend of our sport and loved by all with passion. I would like to wish Michael the fast recovery, and I dream one day we shoot once more shoulder to shoulder. Our health is directly related to our internal state, to our mental state, to our dreams and to our goals. We must stay positive and be thankful for every second of life and follow those dreams. Michael, you and I have plenty more things to do here. Love, Vasily.
That is very nice. I mean, just a little minute about Vasily Mosima. He's a very, very nice man from Russia, obviously. A very, very well experienced and exposed Olympic champion, athlete, and what's more, a gentleman on and off the field.
I'm actually interviewing him on Sunday night.
He's a very good friend of mine.
I'm interviewing him.
Very good friend of mine.
I'm interviewing him Sunday night.
Well, I would love to actually, listen to that interview.
Yeah, no, I will send you the link, mate. Right, we're going to move on to number 2. Number 2 is Josh Lakatos. I'm going to read them exactly as they wrote them. Dude, okay. You're the toughest guy I've ever known. You have more fight in you than anyone could ever imagine. We have all seen you overcome so much in life that has been thrown at you, and you have always made it to the top. Remember who you are, and you will always have the same result. I'll see you back at the top. I love you, brother. Lack.
Yeah, he's such a nice man. This is my extended family of the world.
And
it really is.
I just wanted to do something a little different. So, the next one. Carl Exton.
Yeah.
From commencing Olympic trap, Michael was an idol of mine. And in 2002, during my first World Championships in Helsinki, aged 12, I was introduced to Michael, whom had all the time in the world for me. Since then, I've spent many hours with Michael and found the closer I got to him, the more inspirational he is. And not just to his shooting ability, but for his love and sportsmanship to his fellow competitors and friends. From Carl.
Amazing. Yeah, it's very, very humbling.
Yep, well, we've got plenty.
Carl's another great guy, a good friend of mine, and your true friends come out when you need them the most.
The next one. There's a lot of questions in this one, which I've wrote down and I'll ask you later. This is from David Kostelecki.
Beautiful.
Ben, please ask Michael for me what budgie means in his slang. We have memories of this. I will ask you that later. Don't answer it now. I will ask it later.
Oh, that just made me cry from laughter.
He says, please tell Michael to come back soon. I miss him. He's the GOAT of all time to watch. Please, when you ask questions, ask him to tell you the story about Ally Inn when I was trying to pick my glasses and the Ray-Ban story. I couldn't believe it. Michael, I miss you.
Great guy, David Husthwaite.
Another champion.
Champion of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hakan Dalby, a very simple one. This is not to you, this is to the audience. Guys, sit back and listen to the best there is, and the best is Michael Diamond.
Very nice of the fact to say that.
The next one, we've got 4 more to go. The next one is Aaron Heading. I mean what I say. Olympic trap wouldn't be the same, let alone be anywhere near the Olympic sport it is today without Michael Diamond. There has been a void since he left the sport, and I personally cannot wait to see him back competing.
It's very nice of Aaron.
Yeah, right, mate. Get ready for the big 3. I saved the big 3 till last.
Okay.
We were going to try and surprise you today and do a dual interview with me and Russell. Russell wanted to be part of this.
Wicked.
Unfortunately, the hotel game's got the green light and he's had to go to work.
Okay, cool.
But he sent me this. In Olympic trap shooting, it's very simple. There has been no one better, nor will there be. In my life, I watched his career from the beginning and first-hand watched him rise to the greatest ISSF shooter of all time. I could fill your day with stories about Michael, and if I put it to print, it would be a bestseller, probably a movie. Things people should know about Michael's career. In his 6 Olympic Games, his average is 97% over all 6. That is truly massive. Put very simply, Michael is the greatest of all time. But not only this, his modesty has no equal. Now, the 2 big ones. These are the 2 I really hoped I could get, and they came in late this morning. Mauro Perazzi.
Wow.
He messaged me this morning on Facebook. What I can firmly say is Michael is one of the few real champions in the world, a true phenomenon. I could list countless testimonies about Michael, but the 2 victories I remember the fondest are the 2 Olympic golds. Fortunately, I was present for both, and I feel emotions so strong that I seem to be reliving them and be there every time I think of them. For the Perazzi family, Michael was an important reference point for the great image that allowed our brand to be more polar.
That's amazing.
That's from Mauro. And the last one of your testimonies before we get to question you is what he calls your dear friend, Giovanni Pelelio.
Wow, yeah.
Michael is a dear friend. He has always been a gentleman, and a gentleman both in and out of the race. And I always remember him with much affection, this along with his dear mother.
Very, very nice words from absolutely everybody who has had something to say.
So I just wanted to start it off a little different for you, dude. Something you deserved, and everybody wanted to be part of it.
Thanks, Ben. This is truly humbling and quite motivating.
So, unfortunately, now it becomes Michael Diamond hour. So,
let's do it.
We've got some questions for you. I hope everybody at home enjoyed those testimonies, and it shows just what kind of guy we are sitting talking to today. I've got a few questions that have been sent in from your peers. A couple of them are from me. Some of them are from the people that have just asked testimonies. Some of them are going to ask you to tell stories. Some of them are going to ask you stuff that makes no sense to me, but I'm sure it's going to make some sense to you. The first one is, Michael, could you please tell us the story about the 1999 World Championships in Finland? You started bad. It involves wine and a shoot-off.
Yeah. And it might be a lot of wine prior to the next day of the last competition. Yeah, so we went out and, I looked at my scores and I was probably in 15th spot, and there was about 10 people in front of me that had to miss at least three targets out of the next 25. On the third day of competition, we only had 25 targets more to shoot because it was such a big world championship. So they spread it out over 3 days. And so the next thing you know, I've gone out. I've only had about 3 hours sleep. So I've gone out to shoot my first round, and I've had this splitting headache, and it was clearly derived from too much red wine. And so I happened to shoot 25 out of 25. So, and then I've gone and checked the scoreboard, and everybody who was in front of me had shot a22, which was exactly the same score as me now. Like everybody, I mean, there was from memory, I think there was an eight-way shoot-off for 2 spots in this final. So anyways, we're shooting away. All of a sudden, one guy falls out, and the second guy, he misses, and the third guy, the fourth guy, and next thing you know, I'm in this final.
But this is the World Championships.
This is the World Championships, and I've had about 3 hours sleep. So I walked out into the final, and Alexei Alipov was 3 points in front of me. Dominic Grazioli, the American, was 3 points in front of me. Well, they both shot. I think Dominic shot a 20. I once again shot a 25 in the final. Alexei Alipov shot 22, which now, all of a sudden, me and him have tied for gold. And now we're in a two-way shoot-off for gold. So I'm thinking, what a big day already, and it's only been like 4 hours at the gun club. Only because I've had partial sleep the night before. And it went 3 targets and a miss and out shoot-off back in the day is how it used to be. And Alexei missed and I shot mine, winning the World Championships in Finland.
Yeah.
So it was a very, very lucky win.
I say this all the time, and I said this to Aaron, I've never seen a lucky win yet. I've never seen an accidental champion. I've never seen it.
I suppose I had the red wine to thank for that one.
that didn't become your regular training regime then. 2 hours sleep and a bottle of wine.
Oh, absolutely not. Wouldn't recommend it to anyone.
Next thing on my list is right before the 96 Olympics, you switched from Beretta to Perazzi.
Yes.
And it was an instant success.
Instant. What
do you think caused that? What? Because it wasn't a honeymoon period; it lasted 30 years. So,
that's right.
What was so different? What was that electrifying buzz that you? I know, obviously, a lot happened before those Olympics, which you touched on last time with your father. You swapped guns and just went out and lit it up. Talk us through the change.
Yeah, so it was at the World Cup in Leonardo in 1995 where I had a meeting with Mauro Perazzi through a friend of mine called Philip Petriella, who is Perazzi Australia now. And after sitting down and talking with Mauro, I found that the Perazzi family were very easy to talk to and get on with, because they obviously want to sponsor people.
Yeah.
And good shots at that. They won't just sponsor anybody, obviously. And once I was invited into the family, we went back to the factory and I chose the timber to my gun. It was all handmade to me and it was perfect. And this is truly the difference, that the workmanship that goes into making and building a stock for somebody has to be 100% correct all the time. And the gun, the way it recoils, the way it balances, it's got to do everything right on the shoulder in order for everybody, or for me, to be able to chase that target and stay online with it when it's going off. And that Perazzi built me a gun to do just exactly that. When the gun went off and it recoiled on the first shot, whenever I needed to pull the second shot, it was always within the vicinity of the target, and it was effortless.
Superb. No, I didn't know about the switch. I got informed that from one of your fellow comrades this morning, so that was another great story. got so many questions. I'm going to read them. I'm not going to. We want to touch on Fernandez's shooting style.
Yeah.
It's so
very unorthodox.
Yeah, it's so unorthodox. It's one thing I've noticed. I've watched 6 finals this morning. Is when he's good, but he can be bad.
Yes.
So I want to touch on his. I also noticed the reason I watched some finals today is to pick up on some bits and bobs on yourself. And I noticed that your timing, not your timing to the target, but your timing from calling pull after your competitor dramatically changed the less competitors they got. So if there was 2 people, you went quicker to get him sort of fluxed. It didn't stop you shooting well, but he could see that he was out of his comfort zone. I think it was Fabrizi.
Yeah.
It was like he was pull, bang, and before he'd empty the shells, you were pull, bang. And you could see him just... Was that intentional? Do you do that to flummox people?
No. It's in fact the reverse, because I felt so much pressure at that point in time, and the only way to beat the pressure side of things is to get more aggressive, and that is a way of channeling your confidence.
Yeah.
And with that, when people hesitate in a situation like so, then they pay for it dearly. And my main focus was never ever to hesitate.
Yeah.
And be ready to do that by the time the person beside you has finished shooting. So by the time he shot the target, I was ready to do what I had to do.
Yeah, I watched it. I could see, like, from the round to the final to the shoot-off, you certainly you changed. I mean, it didn't affect you, but you could see that he was flummoxed the first 4 or 5 birds. Whoa. He shot already. It's almost like it caught him by surprise, which was interesting.
I'm ready.
yeah, great. No, that's the answers I want to hear. Fernandez's style, what do you think? Can it be long-term successful, or is he going to have to ride the wave as when it...
I really think he's going to have problems as he gets older and his eyesight becomes a bit worse now that he's a young man and still has everything going for him. He'll get away with it.
Yeah.
But as when time comes, that his eyesight starts to diminish, because let's face it, in our sport, our eyesight
is tool number 1.
It's tool number 1, and our reflexes are only as good as our eyesight.
You notice I did notice that he's not very successful throughout finals. It's like he gets on a run, but then when he misses, they just come in waves.
Yeah, I think it's great when you've got another shot in the second tube backing you up. When you've got to pull a second barrel at the target, that's fine. He's always within the vicinity. But when you've only got one shot, you've got to take somewhat a little bit of care, and actually aim at the target rather than let your instincts completely take over. You've got to throw a bit of caution to the wind.
Yeah, when you watch them, I watched them all this morning. I watched Vigano, Palelio, yourself, and there's a little bit of something in everybody, but he's just out there on his own.
He is definitely out there on his own.
The cameras can't even keep up with him.
I mean, it's a typical pigeon style shoot sort of thing,
Yeah.
He's obviously, as a young boy, he's shot a lot of field stuff. And so that's where he's gotten that style from. Might change if it works for you. I think he's a world champion.
Yeah.
He's a world beater. It's working for him at the moment. There's going to come a time, I think,
when it catches up,
that he's going to have to change something. Yeah.
Superb. What makes the perfect shooter? What made Michael Diamond? What percentage is ability? What percentage is practice? And what percentage is work rate?
Well, I think you've got to have a lot of ability in our sport. I really have to thank my mum and dad for guiding me this way to start with. I owe everything to them. Secondly, I owed everything as well to my sponsors for being incredibly supportive as they have over the years, that being Parazzi,
Yeah.
and also Fiocchi. You know, they were my great supporters in life, apart from my parents. And without these people, really, there's no combination.
Do you think work rate? Do you think a hard worker can outwork talent?
No. No, I think somebody who is talented is going to do it far easier and be a lot more successful than somebody who's got to really work hard at it, because, you know, it shouldn't be hard work,
Yep.
I don't believe. Maybe I was lucky enough that it wasn't, but I'm not sure how somebody else feels when they've got to put a lot of hard work into it.
You sort of touched on the next question just then, but this actually came in twice. How does a youngster become the next Michael Diamond?
Yes, well, I know if I go back through my memories as a young child, I had a great mum and a great dad that constantly pushed me. You know, there was times when I never ever wanted to go to the gun club, not for at least 6 weeks, and I was there every weekend for 13 years straight. So I might derive, or I might use the impression you've got to do your apprenticeship to be able to be successful later on.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just it. You've got to put the bullets through the gun.
And losses and being unsuccessful is gonna put those blocks in place too. You've got to understand what a loss feels like and how much it hurts.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, the greatest trainer for me was shooting down the line, because down the line actually teaches you how to win, because you've got so many people that can shoot the possible to get you into the shoot-off.
Yeah.
But for you to win the shoot-off, you're there for a hell of a long time. You're shooting against a lot of people. So that teaches you how to win. And you've got to be a great loser, better than a great winner.
Yeah, agreed, totally. Okay, story time again. I know nothing about it. This is a very vague question. Apparently it could be a 5-minute story though. 2001 world title Egypt story. Apparently it involves an airport, some guards and a plane.
Yeah, and it has to happen to me, of course. Of all the shooters in the airport, because we're stranded in Cyprus, and something happened to the plane, and we've missed the plane. Come to think of it, all the shooters, the closing ceremony went longer than it should have, or something like that. So we get in the bus to go to the airport, and so now we're waiting to catch the next plane. It's the next day. We've got to wait 12 hours before we can get on another plane. So we're all scattered along the floor of the airport asleep. And so I'm asleep on my back, with my head resting on my backpack, and I wake up to this feeling of somebody kicking my heels. And I open my eyes up, and there's these 3 Cypriot police officers standing over the top of me. And they're saying something in Cypriot, which I'm Greek by heritage, so I could kind of understand what they were talking about. But so I got up and I said, "Listen, guys, you really have to kick me at the bottoms of my heels. I was asleep. You know, you may as well have just prodded a bear in the bum with a knife." Anyways, yeah, that was really funny, that part. I had a big chuckle.
But then
commotion.
You got to the World Championships on the day of the competition.
That's correct. We arrived with no practice, because we arrived on the official practice day afternoon. And so therefore we went into the World Championships the next day completely dry. Yeah, we had no practice on that range.
And who won that one?
I got lucky. I got very lucky at that one. I had somebody above was looking down and blessed me.
You've been very, very lucky, I'll give you that.
I have.
So that was another gold.
Yeah.
I heard somebody said that you do a lot on a bike. You used to do a lot on a bike. What sort of bike was that? Was that pedal bike or motocross bike or
mountain bike?
Mountain bike.
Yes, that's correct. I never necessarily went off road. I just rode the hills, the bike tracks, the concrete bike tracks, that is.
Yeah.
And for fitness, more or less. And I've done a little bit of jogging, but I've done a lot of weights in order to keep strength up and mobility. I do feel that the more muscle tone you got to a certain degree, the better drive you have to the target, more control. So I was always constantly training at the gym, 4 to 5 days a week.
Do you feel like that your fitness levels helped you in finals?
Oh, definitely. My heart rate would sit at about 130 beats per minute, and in the end, it got so low, I never really felt much pressure at all.
Yeah.
Because I just got accustomed to the nerves.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't so bad after all.
No, I find that super interesting, the fitness side of things. Like, it's going to start playing, even in the sporting world, it's going to start playing a bigger and bigger part. It has to. It's never been important before. Here's a great question. You must be included in this. Your dream 6-man squad.
My dream 6-man squad.
But you must be in it.
Yeah, okay. Well, that would consist of Alexei Alipov, Giovanni Palermo, and this is in no order.
Yeah.
David Kostelecki, Derek Burnett, Russell Mark.
That'd be a hell of a squad, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That would take...
It's a bit of a world-beating squad, that one.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to take that one on, would you?
Yeah.
Superb. So, this question came in, and he doesn't want to be named, but he says that he believes the single barrel final was introduced to halt your run.
I've heard rumours like that.
That your second barrel was so good, and you generally were the leader after 125, so they tried to halt your run by bringing in sending you back to zero and giving you one shot. I'm not going to ask you to comment on whether you think that's true, because that's unfair, but when you heard those rumours, did it hit you with, what, I must get better at this and drive you on, or was there a sinking, they're trying to put me down?
Oh, yeah. There would be nothing to hold me down. It's not anything. Ever. And I particularly went out and was shooting single barrel wherever I went. And I did a lot more practice than I've ever envisaged in my entire life. And it was more just single barrel. If I would shoot, for example, 100 targets at a practice competition, I'd shoot 75 single barrel, and at the very end, the last round, I would shoot double barrel, because you do have to keep in touch with your double barrel shooting.
You got to get into the final first.
That's correct. Yeah, to a degree. But I heard that, and I was actually getting pretty good at my single barrel. I was extremely confident, and I was averaging 23 out of 25 most rounds.
You're not going to get if it is true. Let's say that it's true. You're not going to get a bigger compliment than that.
That's a great compliment.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how I took it.
You're not going to get a bigger compliment than that.
The sport of shooting is like soccer. It's pretty big around the world.
Yeah.
And so is soccer. So for someone to go and change the rules on Ronaldo because he's such a great footballer, well then so be it.
Yeah, no,
they're doing it because of me.
Yeah.
And if it is true,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm highly flattered.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to be, wouldn't you? I mean, they're saying, right, this guy's won enough. We got to split this up a bit. Somebody else needs to go.
And look, you've got Parachi to thank for that, because they built me a gun that was like driving a Rolls Royce. It was always on track with the target on the first, but mainly the second shot was always going to come up trumps.
And somebody's asked the question, where was your gun? I know you said it was heavy, but where was it balanced?
At the hinge pin.
So it's dead central.
Dead central, yeah, but it was more back end heavy.
Yeah.
With a heavy set of barrels.
Yeah, so you balance it up.
So when the gun got moving, the gun it was effortless. It was like a flowing river.
Yeah.
It just done its thing, and all you had to do was steer it into the direction of the target. It was a very easy job for me.
Just so you understand, though, that's the difficult part.
It's not so difficult. We can do it. It's only difficult if we say so.
Okay, so let's entertain people again. David Kostelecki, budgie. What's a budgie?
Oh God, love you, David.
Let me. He actually sent it in a text.
Yeah.
And then following after that, he sent me a voice note saying, Ben, I don't know if I've spelt it properly, so I'm going to say the word for you to make sure you got it correct.
Oh, that's hilarious. Now, a really good friend of ours from Australia, both David and my friend, his name is Ben Kelly, and when Ben was knocking around and all that, his idea of a pretty lady was a word for budgie. So if we ever heard budgie come out of Ben's mouth, we would know what Ben was talking about.
David said you had some fun round the Czech in the Czech town. Nobody knew what you were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you heard budgie everywhere. It was every 2 moments with Ben. Every second word was budgie. And the next thing you know, he runs into a pole. So clearly, he wasn't looking where he was walking. So, he's a really cool guy, man.
Yeah, no, he messaged me this morning. I spoke to David last year about my eye dominance rail. Obviously, I mean, these guys have been so helpful. I know who they are. They know who I am, but I'm messaging them out the blue. Hi, I'm Ben Husthwaite. I'm a sporting shooter, and I'm going to interview Michael. They were just mate. Everybody wanted to be part of it. It was truly humbling that they replied. And like I say, your friend, you call him Johnny. I don't know him that well, but Mr. Palelio this morning, he was trying his hardest to get the police paperwork so he could interview you himself. But unfortunately, we couldn't get it in time. So he's watching you. Mitch Isles has just dialed in and said hi as well. So yeah, and then he said you were at Ally Inn. He said it was official practice day. He couldn't find a lens to see the targets, and he went to leave the practice arena, but he said that the light was on red or the flag was on red and he wasn't allowed to leave. And he said he spoke to you, and this is his Ray-Ban story, so you can carry on.
Well, yeah, the Ray-Bans are a great lens to look through.
I can't read his question out because I've never seen an international person swear so much in one question. There's a lot of F's and Jeffs in there to get this sentence out.
Oh my goodness gracious me!
But,
what are we talking about here?
David Kostelecki.
David, that's right. Yeah.
He said that he said I couldn't jeffing believe he was telling me the truth that he was going to shoot in his Ray-Bans, and I watched him, and he walked out, and there he was, and he shot with these Ray-Bans on.
Yeah, look, something went wrong with my bag, as it usually did when I was travelling to different places around the world. Either my gun bag wouldn't turn up or my shotgun wouldn't turn up. So anyways, I had my sunglasses on me and my gun bag never turned up. I had my shooting bag, my shooting vest packed in the suitcase, you see, and so forth. So I just shot in my sunglasses. and that was the birth of the Ray-Bans, getting on around the world.
He said to me, I'm going to shoot in my Ray-Bans, and there's lots of expletives, and he's like, I just couldn't believe that that's what he was going to do. And he said, I turned around just laughing to myself, and then he walked on and stuffed his bits of cardboard up the side, and off he went.
Yeah, as long as you can see through anything, you can shoot a target. As long as you can see through.
That did make me laugh. Was your stock on your gun custom made?
Yes.
So the stock was custom.
Yep.
So last interview, you touched on that you got to a shoot, You had no gun. You borrowed a gun. It was a matter of an abomination of different things. It was a lot lighter than yours. You shot 124. At any point, did you think, I could shoot a lighter gun? I should shoot a lighter gun?
No, because I found out as I found out in the final, being under pressure, that it just didn't work for me then, because all of a sudden everything changed within inside me. My strength became different. Everything. You completely change as a person when you start getting a little bit more adrenaline running through your veins, and that's what I found. I started whipping the gun, and in turn, because I never felt 100% with that firearm under pressure, and I didn't feel comfortable. I couldn't settle in, and the final results showed for that.
Super. Yeah, the questions are great. People do their research. Over time, or as you got older, maybe, did the timing from your pull to bang change?
I don't think so, no.
Would it change now?
That's a really hard question to answer right now. I would say possibly, yeah, because my eyesight's not as good as what it used to be. So picking the target up and then getting to it, pulling the trigger.
Would you go to a lighter gun now?
No, never.
You wouldn't?
I'd never ever use a lighter gun. For two factors. A, you wouldn't be as smooth under pressure. I know that for a fact.
Yep.
And B, you need the recoil to be at bay, if you know what I mean. The recoil needs to stay low in order for your second barrel shooting. And, the only way to get nice flow and momentum is to have a reasonably weighted gun.
Yeah. No, that's great. My dad has always shot the heavy Krieghoff, and he's gotten older and he's going to switch to the parkour because he doesn't think he could move. Obviously, you're a lot younger than my dad. I'm not saying that, but
sure, yes.
I just wondered if you were interested in that. In your shooting, so I asked this question earlier, somebody's just put it on now. What percentage, give me a number, what percentage was ability and what percentage was hard work?
I'd say there was probably 90% ability and 10% hard work.
Really?
I never used to train.
Yeah,
I never really used to train.
Yeah, you said much. This. Yeah, this, and everybody. Yeah. You were by far the biggest viewer. You've had over 6,000 views of your video.
Wow. Of
the interview, and the questions just blasted in. They were non-stop. So I've got loads on the screen now in front of me. So only 10% work rate and 90% ability. That's a huge shift. That's massive.
I think anybody that grows with the sport, Ben, like I started shooting at the age of 7, so that could well and truly be the reason for me to not put a lot of hard work in.
Yeah.
I grew with it.
But we're talking about Michael Diamond here, nobody else. And
when I went to train for, get back in touch with my timing and my timing only.
Yeah.
Because it's all timing.
Yeah.
When you practice, you should practice for your timing only, not to improve, because you can't improve in practice. There's no pressure on you.
Yeah.
The only time you can improve is when you're under extreme conditions.
Yep. Agreed. Totally. I think this guy's from one of the Baltics, Visa Javanen. Hi, Michael. The man who has won Olympic gold at his home Olympics must be the man to ask this. How would you advise someone to manage the kind of mental pressure before and during competition?
Well, let's break this down a little bit. Mental pressure, or pressure in itself, derives from a lot of heart rate, a lot of beats per minute, and the only way you can try and bring that to bay is to turn around and use your breathing techniques. Breathing and slowing your heart rate down will in turn reduce the amount of pressure that you're feeling. So until you can get your heart rate down to a certain point, then you're going to have problems. But, if you manage it through your breathing, then you can overcome the anxiety effect of what pressure has for you.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. 'Cause a lot of people say, "Oh, ignore it." You can't ignore it. It's there.
You can't ignore it.
It's here. You can't just say, "Oh, yeah, you know what? I'm going to shoot off now for the World Championships, but I'm going to forget that." It's impossible. And the people that coach that, I find it ludicrous. You can't not know what you already know.
That's correct.
You got to hit this last bird for the World Championship. You can't tell yourself this is not happening. You're here and now. You know what's going on. Yeah, you got to be able to deal with it. And like I say, I find it absolutely bizarre when people say, "Oh, you just got to not think about it." No. That's unacceptable. That's just poor advice. Because you're here and now and you're in the moment.
That's correct.
If it didn't matter, you wouldn't be. If it didn't matter, you wouldn't be hitting the last bird to win. You'd be sitting in the stand watching.
That's right. Yeah.
But
well said.
I just find it bizarre. But when Johnny Wilkinson first started to kick for as he did with his style, where he started to have a routine, people laughed at him. They didn't understand what he was doing. But he went to America and met baseball coaches and learned how to find his center of gravity and breathe before the kick.
Yeah.
And when it came out, all of a sudden the world does it. Because he was just so far ahead with breathing techniques. The guy might have just sprinted 100 meters, made a tackle, got to get up and make a kick, and he's got to get his breathing under control in under 60 seconds.
Yeah.
I think what you've...
And you can do it. You can do it right before a shot, for example.
Yeah, and that's what I say. I think that was a huge answer from you there. I think that'll wake a lot of people up and think, oh, I sit there and try and pretend that this isn't happening. That's just unacceptable.
No, that's right. You're not in the real world, man.
No. You answered this last time, but we've got far more guests on that didn't watch last time. Hi, Michael. You shoot 29.5-inch barrels, correct? What was the weight? I know you told us last time, but...
1630.
1630. 1630 there, Margaret, there for you. Make the... a different sport question. I can't remember it because I didn't write it down. I think it was ARL or NRL.
NRL.
That's what it is. So I know the difference, Australian rules and the rugby league, but that was the question. Which one do you prefer?
NRL, yes, definitely.
So rugby league. See, there you go. Rugby union's better than that, but we'll worry about that another time.
Yes.
This is from somebody called the Oz Clay Target Shooter. My father was the reason I was introduced to trapping down the line. Michael Diamond is the reason I wanted to shoot competitively. In my opinion, the greatest Olympian all time. How much do you miss it, Michael?
I'd be lying to say that I didn't miss international shooting or my sport at national level. I really do miss it, and I want to come back. So once my health gets to a point where it'll allow me to, then I'll be back.
It's huge, mate. And everybody look, if I finish shooting and you interviewed all my competitors, they'd say we never want to see him again. I think the fact that yours want you back says a lot about you. Or a lot about me. One of the two.
You're a great interviewer too, Ben.
I'm going to ask this because it's on the screen. Feel free to move on if you don't want to. Would you mind touching on your dad's influence on your shooting, Michael, from Sophia Sarakis?
Oh, that's my niece.
Oh, really?
That's lovely. Hello. You're watching? Oh, no, definitely. My father was the greatest influence on me, obviously, from as far back as I can remember. And my father started clay target shooting. So, from as far back as a young boy, I've always wanted to be like Dad, do what Dad did. And clay target shooting was one of those things. And so I did just that. And, Dad taught me the basics of clay target shooting and taught me it very well. I started off with an air rifle and a swinging can. That was an idea of my father's. So a swinging can, being an empty Coca-Cola can, filled with some weights with a bit of fishing line through it, and the other half of the other side of the fishing line tied around something. So, then I would swing the can, it would react like a pendulum.
Right.
So I would stand back 20 paces with my air rifle and practice shooting It's a pendulum of the can.
Really?
And yeah, that's how I got to learn about my peripheral vision of clay target shooting.
Wow.
It taught me all my basics that I needed to know, and my father was the instigator of that.
Superb, mate. What a story. I'd struggle to hit that can with a shotgun. Miss Laura Cole, Miss Laura Coles, the Australian skeet shooter. Thanks, Michael, for being so generous with your knowledge and experience. Michael, has things changed? Will you or do you shoot in contacts or anything like that now?
No, I don't shoot in contacts, but I do need glasses, and that would be something that I would be going to the optometrist to seek when I decide to come back into the sport.
You didn't need them before?
No, I didn't.
So that'll be an interesting change. Probably just put some prescriptions in his Ray-Bans and he'll be flying.
It's definitely going to be a Ray-Ban trade.
Michael, this is a technical question from a international shooter. How much is your dominant eye above the rib? And when you go to your ready position, how far do you look away from the rib? Please stay safe, Michael.
So my dominant eye above the rib is I'm gonna use our currency, Australian currency, and it's 2 20-cent coins plus a 10-cent coin on the breech of the gun.
Yeah.
And that's sitting just underneath the bead.
So it's quite high.
So it's not that high, but it is a little bit. So the pattern would be shooting 70% high.
Yeah. That's going to allow you to see. That's going to allow you to see what you're shooting at.
That's correct. So you can touch the bottom of the target.
Yeah.
And still see it break, and that's how it's got to be.
This is from Nicola Heron. Target-only shooters versus competition entry shooters. What's the differences in the mental pressures?
That's a funny question, that one.
Can you learn anything from only shooting targets only, or are you just wasting your time?
Well, you've got to start somewhere, I believe, and I believe that beginners, as Nicola has explained, should start off doing just that. Getting a certain amount of time under their belt as a novice shooter, and then taking the competition track. Most certainly.
Yeah.
You've got to know what you're doing in a sense before you go to competition, because if you could possibly be devastated by the competition effect.
Yeah, definitely. But I also think, just before we carry on, Bruce has just said that your set of coins works out to 2 English pound coins. So there you go. We know exactly.
Okay.
We know exactly where we're at. See, so sometimes I think a little bit differently to that. That like going targets only, for me, it's sink or swim. Throw yourself in, and if it goes wrong, fix it.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of throwing my students in at the deep end. Look, we're going competition. We're going to do it because I can't fix your weakness if we hide them.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's the only time you're going to see somebody's weaknesses is under pressure.
So
that's right.
Yeah.
If they've had enough experience where they've had that a little bit of competition under their belt, that's the greatest thing to do to them.
Yeah, for me, that if you've got you've got to learn. You sink or swim. You've got to find out what your weaknesses are, and I do find that, and I've touched upon that a lot in shooting. I think when people, like you say, when you go to practice or training, they practice their strengths. They never practice their weaknesses. They hide from them, and then that you never fix it.
What was that, Ben? Sorry, I didn't get that question.
Like when people go practice or training, as a human being, the nature is to practice their strength. They hide from their weaknesses. They don't bring them to the fore and fix them. And if your weakness is your weakness,
in order to be a great competitor,
you got to fix your weaknesses, not your strengths.
You got to fix your weaknesses rather than your strengths. You're strong in that department, but
fix the weakness.
You've got to work on other things. That's correct.
Okay. Nicola's rewrote her question. I get it now. So there's a sponsored prize here. this guy can win it and this guy can win it. This guy's in a comp and this guy's shot targets only. Do you believe they're under the same pressure? That's what she means. I get it now.
Not at all.
No, it's not. It's different, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's that mindset of, again, that competitive edge. For me, when you shoot targets only, the £10, £20 that you're saving is not the reason you're doing it.
That's correct.
You know, the shoot's expensive enough. The £10 not going to help you. I believe you're hiding behind a weakness that you don't want to be put under that pressure.
That's right. Yeah, you're running away from it.
Yeah, that's my opinion on it, whether people like it or not. But
no, I agree. Yeah,
I think it's. I think people. I'm going to put that £10 towards this. No, you're just hiding. Is my opinion. I really struggle to focus in a practice session. I'm like Michael. I learn the most in comps.
Yeah, I can't blame them for that because I was very lazy in practice because I had no heart rate.
Yeah.
And, in order for me to click into A gear, I had to have a little bit of nerves.
Fire,
so, I get that.
How does Michael prepare for each round? Is it always the same or do you prepare differently in different scenarios?
No, always the same. It should always be. I mean, shooting's very repetitious and it should be the same all the time. The moment something changes, well then, the wheels will come off your carriage, so you don't want that to happen. But how I prepare for every round is, I would go and sit behind that layout 25 targets before it was my turn to shoot.
Yeah, you said that before.
And see exactly what targets I'm faced with.
Yeah.
So that I could prepare myself for each and every individual target that was to come out. I wasn't going to be surprised because I knew it was going to...
Yeah, it's coming.
I have
you knew it's coming.
one of 3 targets on this lane.
Yeah.
And that's where they're going to go.
Yeah, and you're all set.
I'm all set.
Mitch Isles says he believes that you were the first person or one of the first to shoot 25 single barrel in a final.
Wow. Yeah, I think I may have been. And it may have been at the World Championships in Cyprus.
Yeah, that's just popped up. It's like an all-star cast today. Johnny Palelio, Mitch Isles, Michael Diamond. Jesus Christ.
It's an all-star show, brother.
Yeah, me. Look, I'm normally the superstar. I'm just a measly fat interviewer at the minute. I feel left out.
Well, mate, I feel grateful for being on your program. Thank you for having me.
Here's a question from Natasha Heading, Aaron's wife. A personal question here, Michael. Do your children realise how amazing and how idolised you are within your sport? Do they enjoy telling the world who they are, or do they accept that it's normal for them?
No, I don't think they really know who their father is.
But I think they know who he is.
Yeah, they know who he is. As a great shot, probably not, because they just know me as Dad.
Yeah.
But it would be really nice, Natasha, if you could phone my oldest daughter up and give her a word. She's at the age at the moment where she's 16, she's going on to 26. So,
are you okay for time? Because that's an hour, but I've got loads of questions. I can restart it.
Yeah, I'm good.
Let me guys, we're going to run out. So if I've missed a question, please retype it, and I'm going to start us up again. Here we go again. There was loads of questions there, dude. I just couldn't read them all off.
Is that right, Ben?
Yeah, there was loads there. I just couldn't.
That's amazing.
I just couldn't keep up, dude. If that.
How many people are watching?
There was over 100 all the time, and it's the middle of the day here. Everyone's at work.
Wow.
The last one got over 4,000 on here, and it's had over 2,000 on YouTube.
That's amazing, eh?
And I thought, honestly, those people wrote, and I hand wrote all of your things, and there's more that I didn't read out, and I'm going to put them in the post to you later on.
That'd be great.
I just couldn't believe how, the people that wrote those things, I sat there writing them. I said to the missus, I was like, fuck, I'm welling up a bit here writing these.
Well, that's nice, mate.
I was like, damn.
I'm so humbled by it all. You got no idea.
Mate, I was just like, wow. There was one question that I did remember from Nicola Heron that was on there. Could you please tell people about the Australian selection policy? How do you pick teams? How many shoots is there? How is it done?
Well, there was approximately 4 to 5 national shoots, and then they selected people in a point scoring effect from 1 to 5 or 6, I think, and then they were broken down to about a squad of people that needed to shoot off at a couple of more national shoots. And so then it got broken down to the top 3 of all of that.
Right.
Was our representative team.
Okay, perfect. A question here from an Irish fella. 2007 World Championships, you had a shoot-off against Kirsten Bindrick and Phil Murphy. Did you feel pressure from both shooters?
Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah, when you're in a shoot-off against great shots like the names that you've just mentioned, you know, it's a high-pressure thing.
Yeah,
you know, you can't hide from it, and because it's happening. And so, you know, then we adopt the relaxing mode side of things, you know, the breathing, in order to try and get your heart rate down. And this is where fitness plays a massive part.
Huge.
Because the fitter you are, the less your heart's going to work in order to pump the blood around the body.
Yeah.
Okay, and that means that you're healthy. And
Massively
you're going to be able to absorb the pressure a lot easier than the people beside you.
I did try to message this guy, but unfortunately we weren't friends on Facebook, but he's just messaged now. Can you tell us your favourite Michael Diamond and Adam Vella story?
Oh, geez, I've got heaps of favourite stories, me. Well, I'll tell you the most favourite time when me and Adam actually... I think Adam shot 98 and we're at the Commonwealth Games in India in the teams event, and I shot 100, and we beat the Indians by a point. Man, that was so cutting, and right to the very end, like, you know, we had to shoot and be on our best performance, because like anywhere else you would have won by a country mile. But the Indian shooters, like, they really put up a great stink, and it was unreal.
A good guy,
and they're great guys. The camaraderie between the Aussies and the Indians at that event was amazing, as it always is. I love it. Yeah.
Due to the time difference, I did message your good friend Sandhu, but unfortunately we missed each other on time difference.
Oh, okay. What a shame.
Yeah. So if I get it, I'll write it and put it in the post one for you.
Great, thank you.
Do you still get to see Frank Menici, and is he still changing his setup after every round?
Oh, Frank Menici. No, I've lost contact with Frank, but I'll tell you a small story. And it's the funniest one you'll probably ever hear. So, for example, my friend would go out and shoot 25 out of 25, right? And he would come back and I'd look at him from a distance as I'm walking back to the vehicle, and he's doing something with his cone. I go, what are you doing, Frank? And he goes, I'm turning it backwards. So the cone goes on a certain way and only one way. But Frank has decided to take it off and turn it the wrong way around.
So the thin pieces at the back and the fat pieces at the front.
Yeah. So all of a sudden he's seen another inch of barrel and all this sort of stuff, and he's just shot 25 out of 25. And he will go out, and I've watched him shoot, and he'll shoot 19. And I go, do you get it? You don't do that, mate. And next thing you know, he goes back to his gun case and pulls out another set of barrels and puts another set of barrels on that action. Walks out again and shoots 24 out of 25. Oh, you know, blows me away. I've never seen anything like this.
Another good friend of yours says hello, and could you tell us how strong the Kuwaiti shooter was, Fahid Al-Dahani?
Oh, a very strong shooter, Fahid Al-Dahani. He's one of the greatest shots in the world has ever seen, you know. and not to mention a very nice man to boot.
Perfect. Frank, every time when he would be winning in European pigeon shoots, he would shoot a perfect round and then change it every time.
That's my friend.
Have you heard of, and what do you think of the effort to get paratrap shooting into the Paralympics?
I haven't heard of it, but I hope that it eventuates.
Perfect.
Because I would like to see it there.
Do you think that all top shooters naturally perform better under pressure, or do you think it's something that experience helps with?
Yeah, you definitely need a little bit of experience, but I've always said that the cream will rise to the top.
What was your first final, Michael?
My first final?
How did that go?
Wow, my first final. Well, my first final was in 1993, and I think I was in Japan.
Right.
I was in Japan. And I think I won silver there, second to Giovanni Palladio.
So your first final went all right?
It went all right. Didn't go too bad. Yeah, it went all right, actually, mate. A silver to Johnny Palladio. That was pretty bloody good, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I've never met the guy, never spoke to him, but he was the perfect gentleman all morning with phone calls, text messages, trying to get on. It was nice to see how he was interacting, and he really did want to. And like I say, he's here watching, so superb.
I would expect nothing less from Johnny.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's saying call him Johnny. I'm like, look, I don't know him. I'm going to call him Giovanni. That's it. That's who he is to me. I don't know him well enough to shorten his name yet.
Yeah.
How do you create a training day? Do you shoot just rounds and rounds, or do you shoot only lefts, only straights, and then only rights?
No, my training day always consisted of a normal program, and it would be of a maximum of 100 targets at any sitting. No more, because the human mind can't actually concentrate long enough. So then what happens is it falls into bad habits, giving you a really bad result by the end of the day. And that's something that we try not to do and completely avoid. So when we go out and shoot competition, we're shooting at 75 targets only, aren't we? And 25 targets the next day.
Yeah.
So why should we implement any more in training?
And I said this the other day. Somebody said about dry mounting at home during this lockdown. And somebody said to me, but Ben, it hurts my arms. I was like, well, then you're doing it too much. In a sporting competition, you mount it 4 times every 15 minutes. You don't stand there and blast it for 50 times. I believe that your training should certainly represent what you're practicing for. No, you're never going to stand in a sporting station and shoot 100 birds without stopping. Practice 4 or 5 mounts, put the gun down, make a cup of tea, come back, do it again. Learn to get the regime that you're going to actually be doing. Is how I would do it. But so you've just won an Olympic medal. How do you celebrate?
Oh, well, I think we went out.
We might have to do this one after the watershed. This one might have to be evening time.
Yeah, I was at the village, and I think I went out for a few beers that night. It was a long time ago now. But nothing serious, nothing more than just that. Yeah.
Just get out and I suppose it takes a little bit of time to sink in.
Well, it does, mate. And not only that, but you've got to make mention that you're dedicated to the village for 10 days or so. So you're not doing anything other than being inside village life. And village life becomes very boring. So the greatest thing after your event is actually to get out of there.
Yeah, just get out.
You've turned around, you've done what you've come to do. Your job's over.
Yeah, just boom, down.
It's time to go and explore Atlanta, see us around. Yeah.
Right, we've got a couple more questions, then I'll wrap it. Question from me. I've not written this down, it's just come into my head. I know every time I've won a world championship, and I've been lucky to win a few, I've always cried during the national anthem, can't help it. Are you a crier?
I do get emotional at the Olympics,
Yeah.
I find, and only the Olympic Games.
Nothing else.
I think it's because the Olympic Games, you've just conquered the world. You
Yeah.
know, that it's not, they haven't taken the 3 best shooters of every country around the world. They've only taken the 2 best shooters of the country. You know?
Creme de la creme.
So it's a very, very highlighted event, which, you know, you train 4 years. It takes 4 years of training.
Yeah.
From, you know, post-Olympics to post-Olympics.
Yep. Huge.
So, yeah, it's a lot of work that's gone into that event. Just that one day.
Being a superb natural shot, on your comeback, how will you prioritise what you need to work on?
Well, I must say I haven't kept up with the rules, and I'll be reading the rule book as opposed to what the finals are doing these days. And I'll be training just for the finals.
Perfect. Last question, because I know you're a busy man, and it's fitting that the last question is going to come from a family member again. So let's end with a bit of fun. So, Michael, it's from Sophia again. Aside from AC/DC, which bands are on your playlist before a shoot?
That's right, I had AC/DC on repeat. In particularly, only one song called Thunderstruck.
Yeah, I know the song. I
Loved it, absolutely loved it. So I've got a lot since then now. I've got like, you know, Eminem and Toyo Cruz and a little bit of R&B. I've expanded.
Last question. If they made the movie of your life, who would play Michael Diamond?
Oh, that's a bit of rock. It'd have to be Dwayne Johnson, wouldn't it?
Michael, thank you so much again. I hope you enjoyed the little testimonies at the beginning. We've killed it again. We've knocked it out the park. Mate, I can't thank you enough. I look forward to it. So your knowledge is unparalleled. You now understand what the rest of the shooting world thinks of you. Man, thank you from the bottom of my heart again, and hopefully we'll chat soon.
Yeah, look, Ben, thanks for having me, mate. I just want to take this opportunity and thanking everybody with their letters and their questions. It's been an amazing time to be able to connect with all my fellow comrades, and hopefully we see each other soon on the traps.
All right, man. Well, you stay safe, and I'll chat with you later.
Thanks, Ben.
All right, man.
It.
Take care.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye.
So, guys, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. The first bit, as I said, was a bit touchy. Please join in tonight, 7 p.m. for my good friend Marco, 6-time Winter Olympian. So we're going to get away from shooting. He is also a shooter. So we're going to see the links between shooting, skiing, mental training, fear, and competing at the top of the hill. So we've got a big night as well. So it's going to be one of the biggest days we've done. That was truly emotional for me. I hope you all enjoyed it, and we'll chat soon. Okay, stay safe.